Let's start at the Etihad then. Manchester City 3, Liverpool 0. There is a title race. And I feel, Barry, like I only say the word ominous in footballing terms with Manchester City, but they look ominous.
Yeah, you can kind of hear the Jaws cello theme music, can you? Can't you? I'm sure Arsenal can at least. In the build-up to this game, there was a lot of talk about it being Pep's 1,000th game as a coach, and with his various different teams. And he said that Liverpool would be the ideal opponents for such an occasion. And now we know why, I guess, because Manchester City swatted them aside with, I would say, a minimum of fuss. Liverpool did not play well. Erling Haaland got his goal. Jeremy Doku was brilliant again, certainly not for the first or second or even third time this season, but I can't think of a better performance he put in his City shirt. Any talk that Liverpool had hit their stride and refound their mojo, I think Arne Slot will have a lot to think about over the international break, which I guess will be dominated by talk of Liverpool being back in crisis, because people sort of run out of things to talk about during the international break, particularly when there's not much at stake for England. So if I was it's very difficult to see Liverpool mounting a title challenge from now. From here, because they've already lost 5 games. Teams that win the title these days tend not to lose more than 5, 6 maximum. So they've lost 5 already out of 11. But Manchester City, yes, they are looking ominous.
Lucy, Doku is extraordinary, isn't he? For someone who, because it must be, this might sound ridiculous, but like he moves his feet like a cartoon, like sort of Roadrunner, and to move your feet that quickly, but to stay in control of the ball is extraordinary.
Yeah, I can remember first seeing him and thinking, wow, I haven't seen somebody dribble like that for a long time. And because he's so strong, it's very difficult to get him off the ball. But now what he's done is his final ball is better because he dribbled. We have a lot of professional footballers over the years who dribble well. And then when they get to the end of it, it's like, what's next? But I think he's improving that. And obviously Pep wouldn't have him playing if he didn't do that. But I just think at the moment he's unplayable. I don't think there's anybody else that dribbles the same as him in world football at the moment, which, I mean, even when he's doubled up on, he just sort of batters them out of the way.
From a standing start, Will, he's sort of like 0 to 100 in about half a second.
Yeah, you ask any footballer what they're afraid of, it's speed. And when you're a fullback, having to go backwards against someone that can, at a flick of a switch, say, go as quickly as he can, it's incredible. I think you see him from the start. I think, when he came, one of his early games against Bournemouth, he got 4 assists and a goal. And you thought, incredible, this is what he can do, but you're never going to do that consistently. And it's taken him a long time to get up to that level on a regular basis. And I think he's got all these things in the locker, and it's you play more, you know more how to use them and things like that. But also the confidence, when you're fully confident, you know what you're doing next. And as I say, I think in previous times, Haaland probably didn't know what was coming afterwards. And I think Doku probably didn't know what was coming afterwards. But now, he's cutting inside, he's winning penalties, scoring goals. Yeah, it's incredible. It's sort of, and I think the exciting player that you want to see, that not front three, but the three behind Haaland of Doku, Cherki and Foden, you're not going to get more excited than that, I think, in the Premier League or world football at the moment, when they're on top of things. And in addition to that they could all play in any of those roles, and they keep rotating to, confuse defenders even more so. So yeah, it's exciting to see Doku at his very best. And yes, if you think that Conor Bradley did pretty well against Vinicius Junior, he had no chance against Doku.
Yeah, you did think, I've seen him off this week, the rest of my week should be fine. And then you check your diary and it says Jeremy Doku on Sunday.
I think it would be very unfair to lay much, if any, blame on Conor Bradley's door yesterday. I thought he did as well as could be expected, considering the amount of help he did not get he got no help from Mo Salah. I wonder, does Mo Salah, is he told not to help out, or does he just not help out? I don't know. And on the 1 or 2 occasions that Ibrahima Konate tried to help him out, he was more of a hindrance than a help, and it led to City's first goal, I think. So, yeah, I wouldn't be scapegoating Bradley for this one.
And yeah, Konate was a bit like one of those guys in Home Alone, just sort of like treading on roller skates and landing on eggs. And actually, Nico O'Reilly, at the same time, Lucy, Nico O'Reilly is really helping Doku and had another really good game.
Yeah, he is, and obviously in the England squad as well. And I think what's interesting is that what Barry said, Salah isn't supposed to come back and help. Who is supposed to help is obviously Szoboszlai and Konate. And Konate had one of his better games. I think he started off quite slowly, and I think as soon as Liverpool fans see Konate starting off slowly, they think, oh no, this is not good. So initially for the penalty, and then for Haaland's goal, the header, he was squared off. So he didn't have any idea really, other than Haaland breathing down his neck, whereabouts he was and what his movement was and his jumping. So yeah, that didn't help. I did think Liverpool were a little bit unlucky about disallowed goal. I think that the two big chances that they missed, but they're still below par. What City did is they sat in the middle of the pitch. They didn't go and try and sort of press high, or they didn't. They just and Liverpool, because they've not got the likes of Alexander Arnold that can sort of ping a pass to negate that in the middle of the pitch. They really struggled to get through, and I think that's going to be a problem for Liverpool, and it has been this season. But obviously then the confidence is lower as well. I think there's lots of stuff going on with Liverpool that sort of works itself out to be having a massive effect, but all little bits.
I mean, Slot after the game, Will, said that even if that goal had been allowed, City would probably have still won. So perhaps we shouldn't spend too much time on it. But I wonder if the law should be, and maybe this makes it too subjective, would the keeper have got it? Because Donnarumma wouldn't have got it, whether Robertson was there or not.
Yeah, Donnarumma wouldn't have saved it, but Robertson was clearly in an offside position. I think the goal should have been given on balance. What I would say is that the decision was made on field, and I don't think it's a complete rick of a decision. If we can sort of complain about VAR over officiating and things like that, you say on balance it should be a goal, but the fact that it wasn't given, I don't think it's an absolute nightmare. I'd be upset if it happened to my team, obviously, but yeah, I don't think it's the be all and end all of the result, obviously. But I would argue that it's not a major mistake as sort of discussed in certain circles.
So the people complaining about it are saying we do want them to re-referee the game, is what they're saying. What we really want is VAR to re-referee it. From a Liverpool perspective, Barry, and I know we've talked about, these new signings and players needing time. It does feel like it is an issue if you break the transfer record twice in one summer. And for various reasons, neither of those players make any meaningful impact. What are we now, the 10th of November?
Certainly does in the case of Alexander Isak, who is, he was on the bench yesterday, didn't come on. He has done nothing of note in the Liverpool shirt. And he cost £130 million. And I'm not sure why that's not more of a talking point, if I'm honest, because I don't recall anyone mentioning it yesterday in the TV coverage.
Something that's not mentioned is that how much money they recouped. So they talk about how much money Liverpool spent. They did recoup over 200 million. I get Barry's point about Isak. He obviously shows that those players who don't have a pre-season, and he obviously didn't do that much in pre-season, and now I think Slot is, whether he's worried about him getting injured again, he obviously has got injury, whereas if you look at his injury record, he has got something that's obviously continuous in the background that he doesn't want to sort of play him, because why would you not play him against Manchester City yesterday? So that's going to be an issue for Liverpool, having two players that they've paid a lot of money for, plus Wirtz, who has not hit the ground running, and he's a very, very good player, but he's not showing it at all. It's a problem.
Luis Diaz would be having a brilliant season for Liverpool, but the fact he's having a brilliant season for Bayern affects it when you watch it and you just see how much they miss him. So 1,000 games for Pep, Will. He's won 716 of them, a win rate of almost 72%. He's lifted 40 major trophies. That's one every 25 games, pretty much. He's lost just 128 times. There are obviously caveats. He's always managed good teams. There are caveats around Manchester City about their ownership. really pertinently now, but also with the charges. But still, that's quite a good win percentage. If Tim Sherwood had that, he would be yelling about it, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but how would he get on at Accrington Stanley? That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, you look at Guardiola over that time with Barcelona, with Bayern, and actually this City team is quite pertinent in all this, because where other coaches have probably not been able to evolve as much, when Guardiola sees a problem, he changes it, he adapts, he looks forward. He saw, last season was written off very early on, and now you look at the team that the players were brought in. Nico Gonzalez, when he joined in January till the end of the season, was, I think, mediocre at best, but he's improving. Guardiola identified him, maybe because he was available, but an intelligent guy that could learn the Guardiola way, whereas maybe other defensive midfielders he wasn't confident in. The fullbacks last season were mildly farcical. I mean, didn't exist for a lot of the time. But now Nunes has, after a terrible, again, probably year trying to learn how to play right back, looks really good. The cross for the opener on Sunday, and Nico O'Reilly, who came through the academy as a central midfielder and tells people he's a number 10, is now City's best left back. Nouri can't not even considered to challenge him for arguably one of the biggest games of the season against Liverpool. And so this is it. He keeps evolving, he keeps changing, from bringing in going from false nines to Haaland, having Ibrahimovic at Barcelona, things like that. It always changes, and he knows how to use these players, and he sort of stays a step ahead, which is very difficult. A lot of the managers are reactionary, but he's trying to get ahead of people. Of course, a lot of money to spending 50 odd million quid on Nico Gonzalez. No one else is doing that. I appreciate, but an incredible energy, incredible sort of longevity of it all is really impressive, and obviously he deserves great credit for that. And to mark it with such a dominant win is probably, as you say, ominous for everyone else that what you can keep doing.
Yeah, I mean, you joke about it at the start. I would like to see him have a season at Accrington and see what he could do.